When we think of the greatest love stories ever told, we immediately think of Romeo and Juliet, or maybe that time your crush finally texted you back. But across the world in ancient Mesopotamia, there was a love story that had an even more explosive ending. A love story between two kings. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to explore one of the greatest stories from the series, The Greatest Stories of the Ancient World. If you like stories about powerful rulers, legendary warriors, or sneaky schemes, then make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an exciting episode. In today's video, we'll be telling the tale of Gilgamesh, the king of Uruk, and his encounter with the mysterious Enkidu. Now, let's get into the juicy details. Gilgamesh was the king of Uruk, which according to historians, is believed to be modern-day Iraq. He ruled over his people for 126 years, and during his reign, he led them to victory after victory. Under his rule, the city flourished, trade routes expanded, and agriculture prospered. He built magnificent temples, lush gardens, and towering walls around the city to protect it from any invaders. Everything was going well for Gilgamesh and the people of Uruk. They were prosperous and safe. Gilgamesh felt like he was living the dream. However, amidst all this success, Gilgamesh was not happy. No matter how many building projects he started, or how many battles he won, something was missing from his life. He could unshake off this feeling of emptiness, and no amount of gold or glory could fill the void in his heart. One night, as he tossed and turned in his royal bed, unable to sleep, he decided enough was enough, needed to find the secret to happiness. So the next morning, he called for his advisor and told him to gather all the bards and poets of the kingdom. As they stood before him, he demanded to know the secret to a happy and fulfilling life. They pondered for a moment, scratching their beards and stroking their chins, trying to come up with the perfect answer. But none of them could give him the answer he was looking for. Finally, one of the poets stepped forward and said, "Oh, great king, you already possess everything one could desire. Power, wealth, and fame. There is nothing more you could possibly need. But perhaps what you seek lies beyond the horizon, in the distant lands over the mountains." Intrigued by these words, Gilgamesh decided to embark on a journey to find the answer to his eternal happiness. He equipped himself with the finest weapons and donned the most luxurious garments. Then he mounted his chariot, and with a team of strong oxen, he set off on his quest. After traveling for many days, he finally reached a forest that seemed to stretch on forever. It was here that he met Enkidu, a mysterious young man who lived deep within the woods. Upon meeting Enkidu, Gilgamesh was taken aback by his wild appearance. His hair was long and unkempt, his clothes were made of animal skins, and he seemed to be completely out of place. But despite his rough exterior, there was something about Enkidu that intrigued Gilgamesh, and as they talked, he began to realize that this mysterious man might just have the answers he was seeking. Enkidu told Gilgamesh about his life in the forest, living in harmony with nature and shunning the complexities of civilization. He spoke of the freedom and simplicity of his life, and Gilgamesh couldn't help but feel envious. Could it be that true happiness lay in this kind of simple life? Was this the answer to the void in his heart that he had been searching for so long? But as the two men talked, something else began to develop between them. At first it was just a spark, a subtle connection that neither of them could quite explain. But as the days went on, that spark grew into a flame, and soon they were both lost in a whirlwind romance. Every morning when the sun rose, they would go on adventures together, exploring the depths of the forest and discovering hidden waterfalls, ancient ruins, and magical creatures. As the weeks passed, their bond grew stronger, and their love deepened. They shared their hopes and dreams with each other, their fears and insecurities. They learned to trust each other like never before, and in each other's arms, they found the solace and comfort they had always craved. However, as their love grew, so did the danger. For you see, Gilgamesh was not only the king of Uruk, he was also betrothed to a woman named Queen Ammit, the daughter of the king of a neighboring city. Their marriage was a strategic alliance meant to strengthen the bonds between the two kingdoms. But now that Gilgamesh had found true love with Enkidu, he knew he could not marry Queen Ammit. Torn between his duty to his people and his love for Enkidu, Gilgamesh made a decision that would change the course of his life and the history of his people forever. He chose love over duty. He abandoned his engagement to Queen Ammit and embraced his relationship with Enkidu. Together, they built a life in the forest, far away from the prying eyes of the kingdom. For a while, they were happy, living in their little cottage, growing their own food, raising animals, and enjoying the peace and quiet of the forest. But as the years went on, Gilgamesh began to feel the weight of his decision. His people, his advisors, and the bustling city of Uruk. He had chosen love over duty, but was that the right choice? One day, while walking through the forest, Gilgamesh came across an old man. The man was hunched over with age, his clothes were tattered, and his eyes were filled with wisdom. When the old man saw Gilgamesh, he approached him and said, "My son, why do you look so troubled?" Gilgamesh poured his heart out to the old man, telling him about his love for Enkidu, his decision to leave Uruk, and the guilt he now felt. The old man listened patiently, and when Gilgamesh was finished, he said, "My son, you made the right decision. Love is the most powerful force in the universe, and you should never apologize for following your heart. However, it is also important to remember your responsibilities. You may have chosen love over duty, but that doesn't mean you should abandon your responsibilities. In fact, sometimes the two can go hand in hand." These words struck a chord with Gilgamesh, and he realized that the old man was right. He had chosen love over duty, but that didn't mean he had to abandon his responsibilities as a king. He could still rule over Uruk and make it a better place for his people while being with Enkidu. With renewed determination, Gilgamesh returned to Uruk, where he was met with mixed reactions. Some of his people were angry at him for abandoning them, while others were happy to have their king back. But Gilgamesh didn't let the negativity get to him. Instead, he focused on rebuilding trust with his people and making them proud once again. Under his rule, Uruk became even more prosperous than before, and Gilgamesh was finally happy. Knowing that he had fulfilled his duty as a king while being with the love of his life, Enkidu. Some of you might be thinking, what happened to Queen Ahmed? She went on to marry another suitor and became the queen of a different kingdom. As for Gilgamesh and Enkidu, they lived happily ever after in the kingdom of Uruk, ruling wisely and fairly and spreading love and acceptance throughout the land. And that's the end of our story for today. What did you think? Were you surprised by the twist in the tale? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to be the first to know when we release new episodes. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time for more exciting tales from the world's ancient past.